Hey, Charlie, good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning, everybody.
Morning.
Oh, hey, Jeff. I was trying to say, okay, I hear a voice, but I don't see anybody.
Yeah, right. I know. It follows whoever's speaking. So
Aha.
anyway, all righty. William, you made it. Awesome. Hey, Casey. Hello, Monica. Hello, Jeff.
Hello.
Andrea just joined. I think we're waiting on George. But he normally comes here, doesn't he? Yeah, I thought so. So, Charlie, this will probably be the last time you see me. I'm on vacation next week, and then they got it from this point on. So, if y'all need anything, obviously, y'all can just
go on vacation.
What's that?
Didn't you just go on vacation?
No. Well, maybe. Yeah, all good. So,
Okay,
all
just
right, gang.
before you bug out, just
Yes, sir.
just as an update for you, and I'll send you a little something extra after class. I got the Pearson issue settled. I sent y'all like a midnight message, so I'm sure none of y'all have seen it yet. You're gonna have to go back in to access Pearson like you did originally. You use your old, or not your old, your regular ID and password that you have, and then you will need to access. They wound up having to redo the class, duplicate. So I put in there, it's instead of having the long drawn out description, it has BUS 210-C1, and the new course number that's not it, is Alfordish 59851.
59851. Al Fordish, his last name. 89. Say it again.
So he not now.
59851.
Y'all got that? Well, y'all make sure George gets that. I'm sure he gets.
And then, and then you would use your same access code from when you originally came in. There's no extra cost, no more hoops to do. When you come in, you'll know you're not going to see the grades for what you've already done. Once y'all are in, I am going to attempt to put those in, but if you look at your grade book in Canvas now, you will see the quizzes listed in your grade book, and unless you did a quiz since midnight, I've updated the Canvas grade book and it shows what you've done. So like if you've done, I know a bunch of y'all have already done the week 1 quiz. Just go ahead and start with week 2. And then for a couple of you little eager beavers over there that already did week 2 today, you don't have to worry about that.
Is it the part where we did?
Gotcha.
No, so he's saying.
Any questions or issues, they should reach
Let
out to
me
you.
know.
Go to Pearson.
Okay. All right, with that, I'm going to bug out. Y'all have a good class, and I'll be in touch.
I'm doing it now just to see.
All right, Jeff.
All right.
Thank y'all.
Hello.
Bye.
Bye, Jeff. Enjoy your vacation.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I'm going to try.
I think if Jeff's taking a vacation, we all should take a vacation.
Okay.
But then my vote doesn't count.
Sure it does, Charlie.
Okay.
So
I
is it all Pearson's reservoir?
before we get running with this, because as you could tell, it didn't ask you for any passcodes or any of that fun stuff today, but it did tell you you needed to be in the waiting room, uh, which as soon as I came in, I let everybody in, and if there's anybody that's missing at this point, which it doesn't look like there is, um, you can, I'll let you in as soon as it tells me that there's somebody in the waiting room. That's about the only thing that's going to be different, but it gets for some reason Zoom, if you either have to make it to where you guys need to know a code every week, or you get to go say, I'll wait for the instructor. And I needed my coffee bad this morning, so I apologize for still being early, but later, a later early than I usually am. Any thoughts, questions, or concerns at this point that you can think of?
No.
You know what I mean? Just trying to make sure I do this correctly in Pearson with the re-enrolling, because I'm still kind of confused.
Okay, you should be able to. Now, some people have, yeah, I know people do it two different ways. So one way is they'll have some instructions on how to set up your Pearson account with your access code. For y'all's sake, or the majority of y'all that are already in Pearson, you don't need to do that again. But you do just click on inside of Canvas.
Still see your course there.
Yeah, but he's saying
Sorry?
So majority of us don't. When we go to Pearson, the course still shows up. We're asking like, do we have to re-enroll?
For your grades to carry, yeah. And the only
Okay.
reason why I still have it sitting there is I'm going to go in after class to make sure I've got everybody's grades that have been done already carried over, and then I'm going to shut down the access to it.
Got it.
No, this is right. This is Pearson. Something's not making sense to me. It's something's not clicking.
So I'm doing, like, if you go to Pearson, you can hit find your course or enroll in a new course. You should be able to
What
put his.
code is it that we're using to?
Send them back. Send us a message. And
The code that you'll be using is
Oh,
L40 59851.
Or find his ears. But it seems like you just can.
And ever since.
And I just sent it over in the chat.
When I wrote.
When I put that in, it says it's an LMS linked course.
Yes, that's what
Yes.
I'm getting. So. I think.
So is this both the book itself and the course?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, because I got a cue to put this in when I was gonna try to take the quiz, and then it took, and I've been having trouble just getting like the book. I mean, I can go into Zoom and so forth, but to actually look at the course or the book, I have the issue, and it was, and now I don't, obviously, because you changed it. So
Yeah, because I noticed when I was doing this at 12:30, 1 o'clock this morning, whatever time it was. So I'm waiting for the coffee to kick in, that you actually had signed into the new course, but you were never in the old course. So,
Right. Because
so
I had issues, and I would get Pearson on chats, and I don't know what it was. It was like they weren't. I would. Well, first I was talking to the AI chat, and then I actually talked to an actual person, or so they
give
said.
me somebody that understands. No, the guy that it was really kind of funny when I was on the phone with Christian over at Pearson. So I told him, I said, if I ever have any questions, that I'm coming after you. He stepped me through it, and somewhere around his fifth step was what I did. And the first four steps I missed, and the next 5 or 6 I didn't even know existed. So what y'all were getting access to, I don't know how much different what you see now is going to be compared to then. Because I don't get a student view, but he goes, now you should see this, and now you should see this. And it's like, yeah, that's all the stuff I didn't see last time. Because like I said, this is not my second time teaching this class with y'all. And last time I did it, everything was already set up and ready to go. They just needed, well, I guess I'll say they just needed me since I'm the one they chose to come in for Philippe. So Philippe had everything set up. So I didn't have to do anything other than get a book, find out what the material was, and try to stay up with the week because I was going through it the same way y'all were.
She's saying, girl.
So, Mr. Charlie, should in the active classes should be showing 2 classes? It should be saying that I'm linked to one, but showing 2 classes.
Yeah, right now it's going to be showing 2 because I haven't disabled
To do it.
the one that I messed up
I
yet.
didn't care.
But I should be linked to the one that shows August 25th to October 2nd.
What do you do, like a access code?
Yeah, the one that says August 25th is the start date.
Okay, so that's the one I should be linked to.
Yeah, because I couldn't go. They wouldn't.
just
It
automatically
doesn't allow me to say the start date was a week ago.
Okay, gotcha.
For me, I just clicked that on.
Oh, really? Wait, so why you always coming up like this? Hers is all right. I was why else came over. Hers coming up like she has to pay for it.
Yeah.
Yours too?
Yeah.
Oh, maybe that's the old one then. You think?
No, that's the right one because it'll say
No, for
59.
hours because.
As long as it says 59851. You don't want the old one.
Oh, okay. Go to the so for some people it okay. So this okay. So for some reason it's coming over. She has to pay.
No, I have it. I'm just saying I can't help anyone else because I don't know what I did to you.
Oh, to get it. Gotcha.
So hers is coming up as if she has to pay for it. You got yours there again? Hold on. Now my computer restarted.
Go with it. Shouldn't be asking you to pay for it if you have the access code. If you haven't I noticed there were a couple of people.
Like them two have to repay for it.
It's showing a price?
Yeah.
Okay, the finance didn't show a price. Did you get the last book the first time here? Because it was like a total of 3 books.
I paid $134.
So my total was like 4 something.
4
4 something. It was 3 books.
No, that was for
The lab and then the course and then this book. So the lab will come with the book for this class. So maybe that's why it's showing.
it's no, I think it was like 170
I
something.
don't know. For one book it was 170 something, but for all of them it was like $3 something, $400.
Got hers for the whole
Yeah, I was
thing.
gonna say this one. I'm
the
trying to
other
remember
books.
if it was 130 something or 170
It
something.
was 130. It was 170 something when I bought it. Now it's 134, 490 something. Yeah, but I had got the other book for business ethical
I didn't
something
buy
by
that
mistake.
book.
I think that was like 97.
Yeah.
So I got for what I think I got 2 books, but
Cause this one came with, something came with a lab or something like that.
This one, I
an
think.
ebook or something like that. So it was 2 for one of the classes because it connected. I don't know how I did it, but it connected, and then the other one was 1.
Oh yeah, it's saying open my lab.
Yeah. So maybe that's why. I'm not sure. I'm just getting
Right.
it out there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, you probably just have to reach out to Pearson. Let them know that you like. I don't know why they're doing it.
If you still have issues with the Pearson side of it,
Girl, so down bad.
when we get finished with the class, see if we can get that part figured out. Um, I had gotten a question from, and you don't have to identify yourself because I'm doing this off of memory, which means I don't remember who, about the presentation. The presentation does count a decent chunk towards your final grade, and it will be being done at for the last class. So the last class, I'll make a few comments here and there, but it's pretty much going to be y'all doing the talking, not me, which means I won't be happy on my side. The chapters we're going to talk about today are the ones that kind of deal specifically with getting ready to do a presentation and do a presentation, which is why we went from chapter 3 to 13, 16, and 17. Then we'll get back into a more orderly way after, for the rest of the weeks. The main thing that y'all need to do somewhere, I would say during the course of the next week, if you haven't done it already, is meet with your teammates and come up with this is what we want to do or what we want to present. And what Jeff had recommended last semester, and he didn't change his mind any again this semester. If it's some new thing that's not being offered by y'all, that's cool. If it's something that is already being done that you think could be done better, that's it. And that would be where your presentation goes. I am not going to, coffee's ready. Okay. Sorry about that. My wife is regrouped. A little bit of my scatteredness. My wife just had hip replacement surgery, and I'm doing a combination of teaching, doing the things that I should be doing, and then also being home help. But when it comes to the presentation itself, Jeff told me yesterday that he had shared, I'm going to guess a team from 2 years ago, and their slide deck. If y'all know where that is, awesome. If you don't, I have a copy of it now, and I am going to put that in this week's folder. So y'all will be able to see. Basically, when I'm saying 4 to 5 slides each, one of them is going to be your name and what you do. So that makes it real easy. And the other 4 will just kind of encompass 3 to 4 will be for what information you're presenting. And I said, with it being 2 to 3 of y'all, it's just going to be a matter of merging that to where it's just one slide deck when you do your presentation. I am not, I am not a nasty grader. So, if you are not familiar, if you have never done presentations before, you don't have to worry that, oh my God, I'm going to be crucified. Ain't happening. You're just going to have to sweat your 4 to 5 minutes out, and life will be good. If you have to speak off of notes, it's okay. If you have to read, that's okay too. Because I know this is not part of your normal existence, or at least I don't think it is. I'm just going to be looking for the most part, is it kind of like your discussions or our conversations. Are you on point? Can I tell that even if this sounds like a terrible idea to me, can I tell that you thought it through and it makes sense? My one student that will forever live in infamy in my brain, and it's been probably a good 20 years since I've taught this person, was it was in a marketing class, and it was to create a new product. And her project was opening an underwater resort that was obviously domed, because how you gonna do it if you got water in it? But one of the things was she had a domed roof that she could retract on pretty days. And it was like, okay, pardon me, just me asking, won't that let the water in and drown everybody? Or is that your way of telling everybody it's time to check out? And then she explained what she meant by what she was doing with it. I was like, oh, okay, in that case, that's a cool idea. If you ever follow through on this, let me know. I want in. Um, so it just pretty much just needs to flow. Are y'all gonna have to constantly be bugging your other 2 teammates or your other 1 teammate? Not really. But I've got it. I've got groups set up inside of Canvas so that y'all can either through that or through work chat or however y'all want to communicate, kind of like touch base. And if y'all want to talk to me as a group and get a little guidance, let me know. We can set up a time to do that. Or once we get past this week, I can kind of block off a little bit of time instead of talking like this. Um, Kind of spend a couple of minutes with each group and see what questions y'all have, and which way, if y'all are having any difficulties or anything. But once I send you the presentation, if you haven't seen it already, um, that might answer some of your questions and concerns. It was easier in my mind, it was easier last year because everybody did their own, but I had half the people. So it made it a little bit easier to work with, because trying to do 14 presentations in 2 hours, and it wouldn't happen. So any thoughts, concerns?
No,
Okay. I mean, I don't know. It's just like, say what you gotta say. Let's get this over with. Let me go to the share screen. Here we go. You're showing chapter 13? I'll take the silence as a yes.
Yes.
Okay. And I'm not sure, and I'm sure it has something to do with the way I set things up. I know I said that I recorded last week and no, it didn't happen, didn't work like that. That is set up and it is actually recording this week. So it will come up and I'm going to go back now that things are settling down on my end of the world with the caring, not caring about my wife, but taking care of her immobility situation. I'm going to record that and put it up. Let's see, today's Wednesday. By Friday, by noon on Friday, it'll be up there. This one should be up within about 20 to 30 minutes after the class, since it's automatically doing everything for me now. So we're going to start off within, but on the outskirts of the presentation with finding, evaluating, and processing information. The research that y'all will do is probably going to be minimal because probably everybody except for me is going to know what you're talking about because it's going to be dealing with either brand new idea you've never done before at Gulf Coast or your subsidiary, or it's something y'all are already doing that you want to build a better mousetrap on. So as far as planning the research, everybody's got their own way. Some people start making an outline, other people do step-by-step plan, other people are bass backwards, as I like to say. And I'm a member of that group. I like to start at the end and work my way backwards to the beginning. For some reason, that works for me. I don't recommend it for the faint at heart. But, you know, and using AI for your research is cool. The main thing about it, if you do go down that road, using it to help you do some preparation, is just note it somewhere on the presentation slide and or in the little report, which can just be a summary of your slides that you give me, that this little piece right here was put together with the help of AI. And that'll let me know. And like I said, it's cool to use it, but it's not cool to use it for 100% of what you're doing. So the process, if you like doing it sequentially, you plan what you're going to do, you choose how you want to do it, you go looking for the information, which in the case of the cohort that I did last year, pretty much all of their research and data information came from their files of what they were already doing. You know, process it, quote where you need to, paraphrase where you need to. Do you have to go numerical on me? Only if you want to. But the numerical stats and all. If you were doing a presentation to somebody that you were trying to sell a product to or a service to, then you would probably need all of that. If you keep it simplistic, that's your best way to do with that. And then, apply and present, put it together. And the main thing I can say is if you put it together in your voice, it's going to be a lot easier for you to do. It doesn't have to be um, super formal because it's a small group. We're familiar with each other. We all know what we're trying to do, as opposed to you know what you're trying to do, and we know we're being thrown a pitch to where because of that it's more formal and you try to stay in a zone that you may not be comfortable with. Speak like you're speaking to your friends about, hey, I got this new thing I'm coming out that we're gonna be that I'm gonna try doing and see if it's like, tell me what you think, type kind of way. You need to maintain ethics during your research. Main thing is if there's any privacy issues, respect it. Don't try to force an outcome. You may find out when you may have a great idea of where you're going to be when you start, or I should say where you're going to finish when you start while you are starting, but you may find that your finish line is different, and that's okay because you're learning along the way of putting it together. If you specifically go after a source and use a graphic of theirs or a quote of theirs, document it. Don't misquote, don't make misrepresentations, because especially if you make a misrepresentation, but you give the source of it, that would allow everybody that's watching, should they be so inclined, to go back and verify, and then we find out, not exactly what was said. Wonder if they were trying to get me to do something I really didn't want to do here. So it puts some shade on everything. Familiarize yourself for y'all's purposes. I'm kind of thinking y'all are going to be fairly familiar already, but if you know when y'all decide to start working on this, who's going to do what? But here's the purpose of what we're going to talk about. Here's the conclusion we want to come up with, or at least what we're looking to trying to attain as a finish. And now we're going to go through the problem like it's a question and answer session. And I'm going to be telling you, maybe I'll be telling you what the questions are. Maybe I'll just be telling you the road that we're going to go to get to where we're going. That's in your hands. Will you need some specific information? Absolutely. Are you going to have to dig deeper? I don't know. These might be things that you've been thinking about for a while. So your dig deeper has kind of been premeditated already. But make sure your focus is on what you're trying to accomplish, not superfluous stuff that isn't going to contribute to what you're doing. Prioritize. You're not going to, unless y'all do it amongst yourselves. I don't really see surveys and interviews going on, but think about it in terms of you being the audience instead of the presenter with, okay, what would be nice for me to know, but what do I need to know to understand what's going on so that I would understand what's being presented to me? Money you shouldn't need. Yeah, your time's limited because you got about 15 minutes. I'm not going to penalize you if you run 13, 14. And worst possible scenario is if you get to minute number 17 or 18, I tell you, you need to wrap it up and you don't quite get the presentation to the finish line. That if that happens, that's where your little summary report will come in awesome, because that'll tell me the little bit that you, whatever the little bit is that you didn't complete. Yeah, best tools are what you deal with the best tools. I can't tell you because everybody has their own way of doing research. And that's it. If you can throw a scenario into AI and go back and forth with it a bit and get something out of that that you can use, it's fine. You know, as I said, just make sure you put AI. AI was consulted, AI was used, whatever phrase suits your fancy on that one. Benefits of AI, you can improve your clarity. Lord knows it definitely does at a greater speed than going and looking everything up yourself. If you've got stuff that isn't structured, you can kind of tell, look, here's what I've got, and I'm trying to make this make sense and put it into a logical order. Help! And it'll make suggestions for you that you can use, modify, whichever. It can do some predictives on you and scalability. You can tell it how detailed or how loose you want it to be. And personalization, if you're using AI now, it's something that I've learned over the course of the last couple of semesters, that after you start using it for a little bit, it almost sounds like you've created the responses you get or get closer to like you're dealing with a mini me. You know, because it's going to sound, the output's going to sound more like it's in your voice than it's in a robot's voice. Risks, context, being over reliant on it, and explainability, because you might see something that is awesome for you, uh, um, but at the same time, you have a hard time explaining it because you're using somebody else's material. So you kind of have to keep that in some semblance of order and context. If you quote, make sure you quote it exactly. If you paraphrase, you know, you're just saying it in your own words, which is fine, you know, if you to do that. Summarize, you know, it's giving a gist, you know, giving you, you know, maybe giving 3 bullet points that take you through the entire discussion and explanation of your point. You know, once again, how does it flow with you? Insights, you know, and this is a kind of a good way to look at it. You know, what's happening now? Why are things happening? There's going to be a variable now because you're looking at offering something that's going to be a change. So by doing that, there's going to be changes within the variables. And what's that relationship in the data? How does that support or support or reinforce either what you're doing or what's already being done? Your justification is going to come. Try not to do faulty comparisons. Yeah, it's okay to have a Granny Smith apple and a red apple because you got 2 apples, but taking a blood orange and a pear isn't going to cut it, because how are you going to compare 2 things that aren't related other than, yeah, they're both fruits? You're going to have a limit to your research. You don't have to go beyond. This isn't going to be a thesis. This isn't going to be a life or death situation. Stay within the parameters of what you think you need to do, because once again, you don't have a whole hour to do your presentation. You got 15 minutes, and technically out of the 15, you got about 5 of it. And don't mislead. We don't have to accept what we don't have to say we totally accept this or we totally reject this, but we do need to know that whatever we're thinking about is legit presentation and not you trying to skate under radar and sham us. Applying your findings. Was that a question coming?
No.
Now, if you had if somebody had a question, all right, just let me know and I can stop and answer it and then keep going. Okay, keep going. It is. Summarize your research. This is where your personality will shine with this one. Part sarcasm, part reality on that statement. You don't want to give us your opinions because obviously if you're presenting you want to change something, you're giving us your opinion anyway. You don't really include conclusions because I'm giving you some options of what we're looking at doing. And even and technically because I'm showing you a way to go with this, kind of giving you the recommendation. So you don't do it formally, it just kind of flows in there. If you're making 3 points, present them in the order of what you think is significant. And then focus on our needs. Like I said, as the audience, we know what we think we want, but we don't really know what we want because we don't know what you're going to say. So when you're putting together, kind of be putting it together dual purpose. This is how I want to present it. And this is how, if I present it this way, I think it's going to come across positively to you, my audience. Effective summary, my favorite slide I've ever seen in virtually any book. You came up with 116 words. Can you fit that in a slide? Yes. Is it going to look like a microdot? Probably. Am I going to read the whole thing? Probably not. Find your main idea and major points, because you might have everything you need in 116 words, the original, but was it the flow of where your brain was, or was it a logical order? Did you have your main idea first? Did you have your supporting points coming out secondly? And then what were your details that did it? Now, when you're getting closer to my zone, 45 words will probably give enough of a summary to be awesome. If you really are a brass tacks and no fluff person, 22 word summary. Is one better than the other? Not necessarily. Is one better for you than one of the others? More than likely. So it's a find your zone. So I look at this, and I said my wife and I did our masters together, and we were on the same team. And She was a 116 worder. I was a 22 worder. And somewhere probably in the 75 word range, somewhere in between the 45 and 116 were the other members of our group. So it kind of, as it, Tim Gunn, make it work. Draw conclusions. Your conclusions, don't give us conclusions that are based in another zip code. Give us conclusions based off of what you are presenting to us. Because if your solution is given based off of new information we know nothing about, it's probably not going to be logical, which you need it to be. And, your assumptions, your judgment calls, yes, creative thinking does come into play. So be cool and work with it. The recommendation side of life, here are my suggestions based off of my analysis. Make sure they're practical and make sure that you describe it well enough. As far as, making your research available, note the group contributions. If you use social media, let it be known. And, where's the knowledge coming from? I said, for some people, sometimes you'll do a presentation and that's all you need is the presentation. Sometimes you'll need to maybe give a copy of the slide deck. Other times it might be a 1 or 2 page summary of what we talked about, just so when as the audience, I may have to go and answer some emails or go straight into another meeting. I've got something that I can look back as a refresher. So what I'm going to do, I know we're kind of on the short end of stuff right now because I'm showing that it's about 9:15. We're going to take a short break right now and come back at 9:25. And when we do, we'll kick in with chapter 16. And we're moving along pretty good. If you think of anything you want to ask a question about as soon as we come back, by all means, tell me before we start. Let's do I've got a question for you before we get going. So see y'all at 9:25.
Oh, okay.
All righty. Thank you.
Girl. I showed you what it. Oh, here. Oh,
Yeah.
yes.
What?
Yes. First. Gotcha.
So basically, that's
Yes. Oh, it's good. Is he machine that this is the man needs to be easy. Here, but please. What about
okay.
nothing?
The reflection on property.
It's hard to get on board. You don't know.
Yeah, then, well, I don't. I personally, so. I take the OT.
I just want I'm gonna be ill. Aiden birthday is Friday, so I'm gonna take their time. Fine. Wait, but they read about.
Boston Church.
Well, she likes succulents. A flower. There's a weird flower in like it. Look,
Isn't like to take care of.
maybe it's a different meaning. I don't know. I'm gonna trade it on to her like quiet. Just a little bit jaded. I'm looking at it. Everything. It's thing.
Studios.
Small fit.
Studios.
So you need to just everybody have those. Um, it's a lonely thing. You versus you. Y'all don't do it.
Nicole does that.
She's fine. So the thing that we.
It's the exact one.
Right.
I start off like.
So they were calling me, hey, that her props standing. Yeah, okay. So Well, I'm working halfway here. Yeah, like it. Favorite flowers, like favorite ice cream flavor, chocolate vanilla cereals.
We done saying the shoes. Did me.
Like,
Like, okay, so you say, yeah, I have. 14 days. Started doing it for 3 days. Just, I don't know, I have to figure out, let other people have it.
okay, so do the fourth,
Yeah, scroll to the bottom.
like, you know, the leaves and stuff. Yeah, but she don't know what that is. I'm gonna paint it and get them. Yeah. Yeah, that's what I have. This is she.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, burger. Burger.
Oh, damn.
I'm gonna give her thing. So when you got in Thornberries. That's just a make I think. Go to the store. It'll show you open by. So I was just like, get the go away. So it'll show where everything.
Oh, and so when this one's gone.
Everybody.
The week one's was gonna be in Pearson. Security break. So, did you want to say yes? Yes, that's why we shouldn't be drafting the university volleys. It's next year. Next year, yeah. Maybe I do it. I want to do it in engineering. Yeah, that's the topic. Let me do it like, I think this week. I think this weekend. So like we all learn from your mistakes.
Oh, what he did.
Small steps.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do it the week before Labor Day every year.
See. Well, he replied, he said, great poll. You know, so many that if we can learn to work with AI, we can. Wait. I won't. Now it's just not feeling like this. It ain't. Sorry, it's weird. I need to do it. One and two. I was so afraid to respond, like, it was just, I was like, I'm holding on, I saying the same thing. Like, right there. But you can't see it until you post.
Okay, is everybody,
Yes, man. How's it been?
everybody back and ready for more fun?
Ready to go.
Okay. In theory, you should be seeing chapter 16. Now we're going to be looking about developing the presentation. Some of this may or may not, some of this will probably apply to what y'all are going to do, and a bunch of it probably won't. But the theoretical goal in my brain, if it is functioning correctly, is if we're going broad-based and doing a presentation that's not in the class, a lot of this will probably be, has the opportunity to be helpful. But for the sake of the presentation that you'll be doing, might get a nugget here and a nugget there. There we go. So Talking about planning the presentation. Main thing is this is you want to be informative for what you're doing at the end of the class. Are you looking to persuade or collaborate? Maybe not. In a real world presentation, um, it could be, could be that you are trying to persuade us to take action on something. Are we looking to have a collaboration? Yeah, probably. Because a lot of times, even if it's a sales pitch, I may be trying to get you to buy something, but this is going to turn into a relationship. So if it's a relationship, there's going to be ongoing conversation, and I would like to think that we're going forward as a team. An audience profile. The biggest one out of these two, the emotional state, is people are going to come in. Some of them are already made up their mind. So you're looking at that as a oh well type situation. Hopefully you can kind of say, okay, I'm gonna be sharing some information with you. Please keep an open mind on this so that you can see this from my point of view, and maybe we've got something here. I believe we have something here that can help you. The comfort level with your language, that's the big one. Because when I say your language, as I like to call it, used to call it, my wife and I were both working, speaking bankese. I know what it is that you do, kind of, sort of. But if you start throwing out acronyms and technical stuff, you're going to lose me, and I'm not necessarily going to care or going to try to find a way back into the presentation because you've gone off my comfort zone, and I should not be, as your audience. Hopefully, I'm not going to be having 5,000 questions, and because I did not get a word, did not understand anything that you were talking about. You know, what, where are your audience mindsets? All over the place. Supportive would be cool because if you're supportive, I want you to have a clear, concise, upbeat presentation. I want both of us to feel relaxed. Plus, if it is a supportive backdrop, I'm going to it'll help me be more confident in my presentation because I know y'all don't have bricks or tomatoes to throw at me when I finish talking or while I'm talking. Interested but neutral. You're curious, but you need to, I'm curious as to what you have to say, but you're going to have to build my interest. Uh, Hopefully you address you thought up in your mind what things I might object to or have questions about, and you've incorporated that in to where it makes me feel more at ease, and your flow's better, and I'm very happy about the fact that I know where we're going on this. Uninterested, I've got to do something to get your attention and hold it. What it is, how I'm going to pull it off, don't know the answer to that question yet. But I'm going to be organized so that hopefully I get that done. Worried? Yeah, there might be some people that have the worry that, ooh, this could possibly eliminate my job or make me into a part-timer instead of full-timer. Or I'm gonna have to learn everything all over again, even though I know what I'm doing. So need to present calmly, directly, and try not to confirm the fears. If anything, you're going to be trying to calm the fears by showing how this is better, not only for the company, but for you as the person who's going to be doing this and your customers too. Hostile, there's always going to be at least one that they could care less what you have to say. As a matter of fact, they don't want common ground. They want to try to make sure you never find a common ground. And you're not going to deny me my anger and my 3 minutes out of your 15 minutes to try to take over and make you look like you should never have been allowed to come and speak. So I will need to keep my emotions controlled. Key point in my going through the information of this chapter is assessing the circumstances of the presentation. Will you have a time limitation? For this one, you do. I'm going to be a little bit flexible with it because I just have to, divide it up into 5. So you do have leeway with the 15 minutes, mainly because now we can go 25 minutes with a 5-minute break per, at the end of each presentation and finish in the allotted time we have. Could it be faster? Yes. Could it be a little bit slower? Hopefully not, because I want to make sure that that last group has their full amount of time to make their presentation. Where will the presentation take place? Over Zoom from wherever y'all are. All technology is at your disposal. It's a matter of what ones, if any, you decide to use other than a PowerPoint deck. How do you want to engage the audience? Talk it out, team. Do you want us to just listen? Or do you want to throw in a random question to make sure that you've got an audience that's paying attention? Figure it and calculate and slide that in. What will happen after the presentation? You will be able to breathe again. You will stop sweating it. You will feel relieved. You may want to go have a drink. And I don't mean coffee or soda. We'll put a grade to it. And like I said, barring something crazy happening, y'all should not have to, y'all aren't going to have to worry about, oh my God, because of this presentation, I'm going to fail. The only way you fail is by not presenting. And I know y'all aren't going to let that happen. Will you be the only one delivering the presentation? No, you're going to have a teammate or two. will what you're presenting here ever need to stand on its own? Probably not. But if you're doing a true company presentation or corporate or a potential client presentation, it may. So you have to give it a little bit of a different look or a little bit of a different feel. Oh, excuse me. Selecting the best combination of media and channels. What platforms are you going to use? Are you going to use social media? You may want to pull in a 30-second TikTok video or post that somebody had in Facebook. Maybe an emerging trend. What, if any of those, is going to better your position and your cause that you're shooting for in the presentation? Organizing the presentation? Yeah, organization is a good thing. So, are you going to be linear or non-linear? That's up to you. My personal thought, which should have no influence on how you handle your presentation, is my preference has always been towards nonlinear, except not quite in the way that this defines it. It doesn't flow in any particular direction. I disagree with that. It has to have some sort of a flow to make sense. But when you're doing it nonlinear, it's not rigid. So if you have to go back a slide, you can. Or if while you're in the middle of something, of a statement on slide number 6, but you know that it plays off of slide 4, you can say, just in case you're remembering and trying to place this, let me take a step backwards for a second. And remember we were talking about this? That's where that's attaching to. So it gives you more flexibility. Defining your media, your main idea, I'm sorry. You should think of this as the infamous elevator speech. You should be able to summarize basically your what, your why, and your who. What is my subject? Why am I bringing this up to you? And you are here because, or you will benefit from this because. Throw it all together in one sentence, maybe two, depending on how well you present yourself with it. And that way you've got the ultimate bullet point. Your main limitations of your scope is working within the time constraint and holding the audience's attention. In a team of 3, in my pea brain, it's a matter of, you work within your time constraints, but holding the attention shouldn't feel, unless you have a really smooth way of pulling it off, like 3 separate presentations. It should be, I'm presenter number 1, and here's what we're talking about and how it's going to work. Let me pass that on to speaker number 2, who's going to get into the how we're gonna do it. And then number two gets finished with all of the how we're gonna do it. Now we're gonna turn this over to teammate number three, and they're gonna bring this on home with how it's gonna benefit, how simple it is, and why you should be biting at the bit to start this the second I shut my mouth. You're building momentum. Think of it as a relay. The first leg is important, and the baton handoff is important too. Second person, just as important. Got to keep it flowing, if not speed it up a little bit. But that third person needs to be able to bring it home. Choose your report. Probably a direct approach for a class would work because you are going to be doing a shorter presentation. So you want to give routine information and good news because you don't want to bring doom or gloom. If it be a longer presentation, now you're looking at, am I going to try to motivate and inform you? Or is this one where I'm going to give you an analysis and go after trying to persuade you or to get you to collaborate with me to get a fruitful outcome? An outline for a 10-minute progress report. This is kind of a suggestive format. Because technically, yeah, your purpose is going to be updating us, not necessarily on a problem, the development of a product, but I'm updating you on a product that I think we could make some alterations to. Start off with a review, start some options, and suggest goals. And that could be person number one, person number two, person number three. And from this, you can incorporate the key points of your deck. And instead of it being a bullet point phrase, have it be a couple of sentences to where by the time you finish this report that you're sending me, preferably it's under 2 pages. I mean, if you wind up doing two, 3 or 4 pages, that's cool too. That may be what gives y'all the warm and fuzzies that you've given me the best accounting for yourselves and your time and your detail, to where if this was a legit presentation that I had to buy into to move on to the next, for you to move on to the next step, you're pulling it off. But like I said, if you can do this in virtually no time at all, yeehaw, go for it. Developing your online presentation. What's your purpose? What are your points that you're going to help me understand and get to help you accomplishing your purpose? Are you brainstorm a little bit to figure out what it is y'all are going to do or how you're going to do it? Express your major points as a complete sentence or a question. Figure out how you're going to best visually support it with your deck. Identify the key messages. Identify the individual slides. And identify how you're going to transition from one slide to the next person, to the next slide. Now you're taking that basic outline when it says prepare your outline. Now you're going to hello. Now you're going back to your progress, basically your progress outline or here, and filling in and putting some meat onto the bones. As I said, this outline, if you can turn this into your report, you're gonna know that you're hitting on everything. Will it need to be that detailed? Up to you. Because if you notice, each point has, under, let's look at number 4, the solution. We've got 5 different things here that are part of the solution, and with the exception of one of them having 2 points, the other ones have 3 bullet points. Could you knock this down to 3 solutions with 2 bullets each? You could. Up to you. Adapting, we know we're doing a small group. And for all practical purposes, it is kind of being done in the conference room. So don't need to be formal about it. It can be like a conversation. You can invite the comments, you can invite the questions, or you can say, please hold your questions till I am finished my portion, or we are finished our complete portion, and then we'll be more than happy to answer any questions you have. Up to you. Developing the presentation, feel like this slide should have been a couple of slides back. You're going to have 3 elements: an introduction, a body, and a close. Same way that you should be handling emails, same way you should be handling letters or text messages, email, it's a basic format. You're just taking it into a different arena. Whoever's handling the introduction, get our attention. Rally the wagons. Let's get into a circle, to get y'all into a circle to where hopefully I'm going to get you all in on a common goal, and not y'all, I'm going to get stuff thrown at me from 360 degrees. Key point, hey, here's a problem or a process that I think we could do some improving on, and here's how we can improve. Here's how it could affect you and our customers. Pass that baton. From the side of the presentation, you can ask a question, you can share a statistic, you can put a couple of facts out there, or if you have the gift of being a storyteller, tell a little story that illustrates the point. You do that, and life is going to be pretty darn cool. Because usually, if you tell a story, yeah, you can be serious, but more than likely, whether you intend it or not, there's probably going to be a little tinge of humor in there somewhere. And keeping things light, or when you feel like it's getting heavy, or you see concern on the faces of your audience, kind of go not off topic, but off brand for a few seconds to kind of startle a little bit, bring me back into the fold. Arousing the interest. If you are organized and you identify the major points, and if you're going into a new thought, identify that let us know that we've pretty much covered what I'm talking about in this point. But from this point, we've kind of now moved out of this room and into a different room, or we're no longer looking out of the window to the right. We're going and looking out the window behind us, getting a different view. If you have a bibliography, which I doubt seriously you will at this point, put it in. If you don't worry about it. Choose a compelling title. Any title you put do, or will it adequately describe where you're going with your points? Probably. Is it going to be compelling enough to get me to go, this could be interesting? Or let me pay attention because this sounds like this could be good. I had to, and I think it's been 4 years. It was during COVID. I was awarded the opportunity by the Real Estate Commission to write a 4-hour mandated continuing education class for anybody that had a real estate license. And the whole 4-hour class needed to revolve around about 3/4 of a page to a page of information in the real estate rules and regulations that dealt with no-nos, things that you better not do because you're gonna get in trouble, be it lenient, and light, or God help you, we're gonna throw you in the dungeons. But I didn't, when it came time for me to put a title on it, it became here, instead of we are going to discuss things that are definitely infractions that you need to pay attention to 36 ways to lose your license. It got attention. And because there are enough people that knew me either from pre-licensing or continuing ed classes or a real estate transaction or a function, people knew that all 52 cards of my playing deck are not usually there when I do presentations. We had a ball because I actually found or ad-libbed humorous ways, humorous circumstances that would cause you to do what was wrong and possibly lose your license. And to say I had fun was an understatement. To say that the class stayed awake and had fun and left me some of the best reviews I have had in 25 years of teaching shocked me, because I am, in the back of my mind, I pretty much thought I was missing the mark. But I had people that were the regulators and the attorneys for the investigative division and some of the commissioners who make the decisions for the real estate commission in the class. And they threw kudos at me like it was going out of style. And it was like, save some of them for later when you don't like something I do, so you can lie to me and make me feel good. I was shocked at how receptive it was. Build your credibility. Not necessarily in this situation, but have another person introduce you. If you're going to a big group, a lot of time whoever's hosting it will say, okay, great, glad everybody's here, because today we're going to be talking about ways to put together a presentation. And we have a presentation expert here that's going to share, impart some knowledge with you and, get you in there. Let me introduce to you Charlie Alfortish, who is a bit. For the purpose of what you're doing, if you would like to have the third person in your team introduce the first person with about 5 seconds, that's cool. But the first person does technically introduce the second, who will also technically introduce the third. And it could be as simplistic of an introduction as, well, and this is, and I've taken you as far down the path as my part of the presentation goes. Now I'm going to turn it over to Andrea, who's going to pick it up here and take you to the next level. Are you going to be throwing credentials out? No. Technically, when you have that little slide, your first slide up that says who you are and where you are, you can toss in one or two tidbit facts that'll, be kind of like the humble, simple introduction of yourself. And, maybe even show us why you're the right person at the right time, giving us the right information. Always summarize. And summarizing very easily could be identifying your supporting points. And and also, whoops, sorry about that. And also talk about the order that you're going to develop them in your presentation. Connect your idea. You're going to present your main points, but make sure your ideas flow, that they're connected. Because if they're disjointed, you're going to lose me, because it's going to be like, how can I understand and get into this when it doesn't look like you understand? It needs a flow. Keep relating the subject to the needs of your audience. If you can anticipate questions, you might be able to answer them while you're speaking versus having the question actually get asked. It's also another thing you can do is when you have your audience in front of you, be it live and in person or looking at the attendance, the little presentation deck of who's there. You can see the faces. If you see one of those twisted faces that looks like, I'm not sure if I'm losing them or if there's a question there, it is all right to go. Excuse me, Jeff, it looks, you kind of look like you have a question there. Is there something that I missed or something that you would like me to add on to? That way it does a combination of three things, of which number three hopefully isn't the real number one. Could it possibly make you uneasy? Make you uneasy, Jeff? Yes, but hopefully the way that I do that comes across as I noticed a change in your expression. And I just want to make sure that you're still comfortable with everything and that I'm answering your questions. And if I'm not, if you say, no, I'm fine, hey, cool, we just keep moving on. If you say, well, I do kind of have a question or a concern, then it'd be, what is it? Because if you have the question, you may have less of a poker face than your fellow cohort members. There might be four other people that want to ask that, but they're sitting there like with their faces going, looking like you understand it. And in the back of your mind, you're going, what in the hell? We need to be there. Keep it simple, because the more you complicate it, the more your opportunities are to lose people. Use clear language, be vivid if you can. Why give me an 8? Why give me a black and white photo when you can give me an 8x10 color glossy? If there comes a point where it would be logical to ask for an opinion or to ask a question, do it. You're in control. If there's a visual that can make sense out of your words better than you feel your words will make sense as they come out of your mouth, use the visual. When you're closing this bad boy out, it's very, very simple. Restate your main points. Be confident and clear at what you're doing, and wrap that puppy up. And then, like I said, your presentation method is going to be the method that feels the most like you. You want to memorize and spout it off, go for it. If you want to read or glance down at notes, go for it. If you want to wing it because you just know your stuff so good, you don't need any of that. You can just have a couple of words written down to remind you that you're supposed to talk about the 2 steps that'll incorporate the change and how long it'll take you. You can write steps and change and just wing it till your little heart's content. Do your presentation, nail it, and breathe. Practice-wise, Can you present naturally? Is your equipment working? Can you make a compelling presentation without it? That one comes in handy. Suppose something happens and excuse me, your projector goes down, or you accidentally click and delete your PowerPoint deck in the middle of what you're saying. You need to be able to know that you can talk about it without your problems. Is your timing on track? Unless you try to practice a little bit, you'll never know. Can you easily pronounce all the words you plan to use? Even if the answer to that is yes, that doesn't mean that you don't have a nerve that twinge and you totally say something wrong. You can correct yourself. Everybody does. It's like misspelling a word. Do we do it on purpose? No. Can we fix it? Yeah. Preparing to speak. Technically, your biggie for this one is just going to be checking your equipment and your supplies, which is basically your computer and your team deck. I do want you to have not 3 sets of 4 deck slides. Before we get to the last class, somebody responsible to take everybody's 3 or 4 slides and turn it into one deck of 15. Anxiety, get over it. You're gonna have some. You may be able to fool us, and for part of the time, you may even be able to fool yourself. But at some point in time, you're gonna have a little bit. Be ready with what your opening line is. Know that one. Be comfortable. If you need to do shake it off before you get talking, shake it off. Take a 3-second break, which is a good deep breath. Concentrate on the audience and your message. Have eye contact. Not necessarily to the point where everybody feels icky because they feel like they're being stalked. And that's it. Don't worry. If you have a mindset, don't worry about being perfect, because you will be the one that knows if you make a mistake. So as long as you know what your subject is, you'll be able to make it through. You don't have to apologize for the mistake. You may have an easy way to rephrase things. You may just be able to pretend it never happened. That's all on you for how you handle that. Practice. Don't let the first time you speak your piece be in the middle and during the class. In your mind, you're already there. You may not have even picked what your topic's going to be yet, but in your mind, you're breathing easy because you've already done the whole process and made your speech. Power of positive thinking. I'm going to roll along and be happy. Somebody else can stress for me. Overcoming presentation anxiety. Have a little talk with your brain. When I first started doing classroom presentation, I was a nervous wreck. as I became more familiar with it and my knowledge was getting more and more solid, the anxiety started going away. I could stay focused on my message because I knew I was confident in what I had to present and how I was presenting it. And I could keep moving forward. You know, and you don't have to feel comfortable before you move forward. You know, could be dancing on hot coals. But as you progress and as 10 seconds turns into 20 to 30 to a minute to 2 minutes, you will relax or start relaxing and you will feel more confident as you go through. Questions, be prepared to answer. If there's some nonverbal signal that you're receiving, be ready for it. But main thing is come out with ground rules. Hey, we've got some material and some stuff that we think you're going to find really awesome, and you're going to want to start doing this like yesterday. You're probably going to have some questions, but to make this flow easier, I would appreciate it if you wait till the end of the presentation, or feel free to clear your throat or impromptu do a little bit of, raise your hand just a little bit, and so I can see and acknowledge you, and I will finish the thought I'm in the middle of, and the next thing will immediately be to take care of your question. If we know how to react, we can do so accordingly. If we choose to not do so accordingly because you have established the ground rules, you can retain your control by saying, hold on to it. Remember, I told you we'll address all the questions at the end. And all you're doing is putting out a reminder as opposed to a reprimand. Now, how are you going to respond to a difficult question? Hopefully you know the answer and you can just roll with it going, yeah, hey, great, that's a good answer. Let me reiterate a few things and add a little more to what I said to maybe clarify something that I didn't quite clarify as well as I should have. It allows you to continue your control of the presentation, especially if you control your emotions and you do it as a thank you for that question. Makes life go simple. Handling the questions during a presentation. Easiest way to ensure success. Have some version of planning going on, but rehearse your presentation. And rehearse can be take 10, 15 minutes out of your day, a couple of days, couple of days before class, or once a week or twice a week before each class to chat about it, to be like you're at a script reading, where you're just talking amongst the three of you. I say what I'm got going and point to the next one, and number two goes, and number three, just so you can kind of get a vibe of the flow and the rhythm. So I said it is a team presentation. Is it good to rehearse your part? Yes. is it better theoretically and to a degree actually to do it as a group? Yes. That way I know it's gonna progressively flow like we want to see it flow. Yeah, hopefully as a team y'all have decided how to have manageable sections and not overlap each other but progress each other. If you can be dynamic when you're speaking, go over the top, it's cool. If you can't, the main thing I don't want to see is you talking in the same voice like this and having no signs of life showing. Yep. And as I said, make sure you merge all of the slides you have into one day. Schedule when y'all are going to try to rehearse. It's on your time, not mine. So find a time in a day that works. Do it as long or as quickly as you would like. What is going to make your team most comfortable, most demonstrative, most information? Make sure you've got a good transition. And the map out where everyone will sit or stand. You know, if all three people of the group, of the team are in the same building, then you can have like sitting side by side by side. Or you could, when you take over, just kind of say, okay, here I am. But you don't want to have the other two members of your team pacing like they're waiting to find out whether it's a boy or a girl coming out in the maternity room. First speaker, you introduce everything. You're the who's it, what's it, why is it person. And during the presentation, do what you gotta to make the presentation stick. Be more interactive. You could have a chat screen or a polling question, which is not more than a possible yes, no question, or a fill in the blank type question. How did we get there from here question? Something that involves a little back and forth. Real-time quizzes, not necessarily for this, but it's something that you can work with, figuring out where places to do it. Audience creates the back channel. Goods and bads of back channel. Criticism, loss of control. But it is also an opportunity to get feedback and support from your audience. When I say loss of control on the challenges, if I recognize you and I allow you to ask a question, I should address and answer that question and stay on that path with my answer. And say, is it clearer to you now? Great, thank you. Any other questions? Because you don't want to allow whoever has that question go, oh, wait, I got another question. Oh, wait, and the next thing you know, your class has been hijacked by someone that is supposed to be listening to you, not going Spanish Inquisition. To a degree, we are doing virtual presentation. even though there will be rooms where you'll be with other people,
Thank you.
for the most part, the bulk is going to be virtual because you're going to be looking at everybody in Brady Bunch squares. Everybody is equal. That's your biggest thing. You know, just for council, because we'll say that the unequal peg would be Jeff being in the classroom and not going away like he did, saying, I'm going to be on vacation. In technical reality, he's has a title and a position. So does that make him better than the rest of us? No. It does mean he probably knows more than we do, but we're not going to treat him any differently than we do everybody else. Because if you do, you may have retained that one person that's become the thorn in your side, but you've lost everybody else. Schedule breaks and question and answer sessions. If it's a long presentation, kind of like this is, do a, schedule a break. If you need a webcam break, just let your audience know it's coming, and you can click the to block your video. Checking in with the audience members frequently. That can be a whole question. That can be a little one-line joke. It could be, y'all still with me? Everybody still awake? A little bit of levity to the situation. Go where you feel you need to go. The third chapter of the group. Enhancing your presentation with slides or other visuals. Remember, for this one, slides is a must. Animation, links, all of that kind of fun stuff. If you want to and you can stay inside of your time frame, go for it. If all you want to have is a bunch of slides, have a bunch of slides. Choose your tools. Whatever you're going to use, is it efficient? Is it engaging? Was it a collaboration? Did I use AI and get an automated design done? Or did I just go look and see inside of PowerPoint what backgrounds and designs are available through the program and pick one of those? Make it your own or make it one that feels comfortable to y'all. You should be collaborating, and you should have a quality of you should have some quality to your design. Main thing about quality design is when y'all decide what the PowerPoint deck is going to look like, And if you have three different opinions, three cheers for the democracy, everybody look at it, pick which one you think would be most appealing, and run with that one. Everybody have the same cells so that it doesn't look like you've gone out and grabbed 6 different type of screens from 5 different programs. Yeah, presentation tools, you can read this slide. You've got tools for changing color or changing appearance. If you know how to use it and you want to use it, use it. Structured, creating your visuals. Once you've reviewed your purpose and your outline, you can choose where you're going to be doing the app out of. Your presentation from. Find your template and get the tickling the ivories on your keyboard. Translate your item in your list into getting tongue-tied. Your list into bullet points, and if at all possible, have one key point per slide. Once you got that, fill in your info. If there's anything you want to show that supports what you're talking about, add that on in. Then review it, refine it, and repeat it. And if you're comfy all the way around, go for it. It is time. If your slides are structured, they're much easier to create. You've got the templates, and it's also easier to deal with a complex idea. Disadvantages, you can go text heavy. And that's something you want to try to avoid. I want you to be listening to me, not necessarily listening to someone else in you. Freeform slides. They're great for complementing your visual and your textual information. Does it limit? Yes, but you still have the opportunity to put stuff in. Main thing about your design: structure, organize, and explain. Yes, I can read the slide, but if you've got 3 words down like this, you need to let me know what's behind it. Why are those 3 words important to me? Here's some ways that you can use visuals when you organize PowerPoint. Take a look at them, see if any of them work. When you're looking at your design element, what color is it going to be? What artwork are you going to have? What borders are you going to have? What typefaces are you going to use? Figure that out. And after you put that all in, then you worry about making the slide. Yes, there should be color and emotion in what you're doing. And, the colors are symbolic of something. So if you've got a blue background, it should be peaceful and soothing. If you use white, it's neutral, innocent. Purple, something either noble or spiritual, a point in between. Yellow, warm, bright, cheerful. You are a sunflower. Repeat that. And you try to be passionate and active when you're doing this because you want to buy in. You want to be assertive, either green lettering or green borders. If you want to be warm or put a little drama into your presentation, use orange. Gray if you want to be super serious. Black if it suits your format and it's serious. As far as maintaining your digital consistency, before you start filling in, find the colors you want to use. Find the font style you want to use. Then you can make the changes to the master and then start putting in what's left. Because you'll have coherency. Designing for accessibility, it's not that hard. You have a decent contrast between text and background color. You don't want a black background with a gray text because the gray will get swallowed. White with a black text or white with a red text or something like that. Very doable, very good. It puts things where it needs to be. As far as your fonts, it's recommended to use the sans serif font with a minimum size of 24 for better readability. There are a lot of times that I do. Then there's a decent amount of times where I don't because I, for some reason, have an affinity in like using Georgia. There's just something about it that does it for me. And so we just need to know what it is. If we have a microphone that can be plugged in or whatever methodology you use. Yeah. Have alternate text. Throw video in there if it has meaning and adds value. Otherwise, let it go. Try to be simple and consistent. Makes it easier on your brain and your audience's brain. Yeah, and nothing wrong with using built-in slide layouts and headings and all, because it's all formatted for you. Just put your information. Writable content, or readable content, I should say. One idea, one point of your portion of the presentation per slide. Makes it flow better, makes it go good. Limit the text, which is such a joy. I've had this in course writing training, in online training, even some international training. this slide is prominent. But then when you go look at all of the rest of the slides that are done, especially by publishers and support staff, they never follow their own rules. One thought, one concept, one idea. Limit it to 4 or 5 lines with 4 or 5 words per line. Don't go text heavy. Or if you do have to have something that's a little heavy on text, let that one kind of set apart. Make sure that the ones before and after are smaller and shorter, just so your audience's brains don't go into either overload or blown mode. Do short, bulleted phrases instead of sentences if you need to. But if you need to share a quotation or there's some profound need that works in your mind, then you can go ahead and use a quotation, or a quote with that. That's it. Phraseology that help us. Have a parallel grammatical form. And what that means in the case of a group presentation, try to do your best to mimic each other's slides as far as the format, so that the appearance has continuity. Use an active voice. We are doing whatever not. In the future, we may make it look like you're already in progress. Have a short title for your slides. And if you have some sort of bulk information, use a visual to put it through. Another awesome slide is this one. 4 examples. The writing readable content, that's where your slides, for the most part, should fall. If it's some sort of a dense concept and you can't sum it with 4 to 6 bullet points and talk the rest of the verbiage as opposed to writing readable content slide 17.6A. If there's no way that you have faith in yourself to present it appropriately by speaking it, you can write it into existence and just kind of lead into, I was having a little bit of difficulty putting this next remark into words or explaining it well. So here's the slide that you can read now or take it a little bit later that I'm going to try to talk about for 15 to 30 seconds. Here's a long-handed version of what I could sum up, because I feel that this is necessary for you as an audience to be able to see in detail. Creating charts and slides, if you need to or want to, you can. Biggest thing is, whatever it is you're trying to represent and show, make sure that that is on there. Details beyond that are additional details. If they're not practical or they don't show themselves correctly by adding more detail, take it out. Remember, simple is better. Keep it simple, stupid. All of those fun things. The more complex you make it, possibly harder to understand it's going to be for your group. Limit the data. You can put 1B instead of 1 billion or 1 with 9 zeros. Make sure you highlight your key points. And if you need to adjust the size of the font a little bit, go get a little bit bigger or a little bit smaller for whatever reason, do it. You know, there are times that in some of these slides I have made changes. Because I thought there was a good reason and I thought it would stick out, and I may or may not be wrong. Adding animation. Oh, I'm sorry. Do you have a question?
I don't think nobody said anything.
Okay, I heard somebody say, okay, but that's okay. That could have been me in my own brain. But if you're going to use an animation, have it have a purpose and have it make a contribution to what you're talking about and saying. Have a good transition. You don't want to go from, hi, how's everybody? Goodbye. You want it to transition into hi, to the mom and them type conversation. Hey, how you doing? How's your mom and them? Anything been going on lately? Well, that's cool. Let me tell you what's been going on with me. Great. What do you have to say about all of this? Yeah, so you've had some good transition in mode and attitude, or how you're releasing the text or the individual slides. You've built through that. If you need to go to an alternate site, have a hyperlink set up that you can use inside of your slide, or just say, okay, I need to minimize this for a second so I can pull up a website and show something to you that I think will bring home the point that I was trying to make. Multimedia, as it, if it complements your message, use it. If not, don't put it in there just for the sake of putting it in there. How can we be interactive? Have live polling or moderated question and answer session. Quizzes that I give you to do. Granted, that's not on the spot. Could I make it on the spot? Yeah, I could incorporate a quiz into the slides. Live reactions. I should be seeing you, so I can see what reactions are. Or I could even ask you, if I do this, what's your reaction going to be? And give it 15 to 20 seconds to have somebody contribute a thought. We're not going to be using whiteboards, or at least I don't think y'all are, just because would be possibly a little bit of contemplation, complication there. And, have a little virtual reality in there if you can. Just for the sake of adding a little value, dressing up a point that I may not have come across in my mind that this was a key point. So let me toss a little something in addition to what I'm saying to kind of signal, hey, key point here. Don't lose me now. Hyperlinks. Know how your computer shows them. Sometimes it's an action button. Sometimes it's text in a different color that's underlined. Sometimes it's just a simple hotspot. However your system does it, use it to its fullest capability. Video and live data, short clips are golden. Live data fields, you can, but there's not a whole lot of situations where I see that going. Now, if you have a larger group and you want to look up, have a little bit of fun, you can set up a poll anywhere type scenario where you have 2 or 3 questions. And you tell everybody, hey, go on your phone. I want you to hit up this app, and we're going to do some interactive stuff here. And I'll ask a question, and you click on A, B, C, D, whichever one you think is correct. And as soon as y'all start answering, it's going to pull up a little chart, and it'll allow everybody to see where the flow is of opinion. And hopefully, if I've done what I'm doing correct, well enough, everybody except one who may not have been paying attention will get it right. But you still talk about the point regardless. Your analytics on your presentation, make sure they're helpful, that they identify as the most frequently used slides. And when you're practicing or you're laying stuff out, keep track of when you're transitioning your slide from one to the next. Record yourself when you practice. That way you will see in the corner, well, when I clicked, it was at 1 minute and 5 seconds. Oh, now I'm at 2 minutes and 10 seconds. Click. Got one more slide after this, and I'm already at 4.5 minutes. I guess I need to hurry it up. No, not really hurry it up, but do a summary brief or summary light version of the slide so you can get the last one in. But, keep yourself on track. As far as reviewing the slides, make sure they're readable, make sure format is consistent, that they're simple, I'm sorry, and audience centered. Like I said, they might be oversimplified for me because I'm the one that's familiar with this doing the presenting, but I need to have it simple enough for you to where you have a comfort zone. Make sure you're clear with what you're saying. Make sure that you're grammatically correct, that you're focused, that you don't have 2 or 3 detours to take along the way that may not have anything to do with anything you're talking about. And make sure everything that you're using is fully operational. Title slides create your impression. Your details communicate your agenda. And your navigation is just basically the guide that walks your audience through. Effective visuals. If you've created PowerPoints before, you know that your primary set of things that you use are going to be, here's the title, and underneath it, here's the point. You can click on the slide design if you feel that for some reason one like the ones on one of them on the left if the design with the big circle and the four smaller circles on each corner works better for you. Click on that to add to your deck and use it. You have the resources. Use what you need to make you feel like it's the best presentation in the world. Are we going to do handouts? I doubt that seriously. But if it would be just for the sake of sheer, why not? If you could put together something that would be either a PowerPoint handout or a Word handout, feel free before your group presents to go into your course email and hit all in class and say, my handout. Just say, hey guys, wanted you to see this before we get started. That way you'll have an idea what's going on. However you feel free about wording it. And then, yay, you're in good shape. Send it, and everybody's got it to look at or not. 3 cheers for the copyright. And I'm going to end the slideshow and stop the share. And that's it. Do we have any questions?
Oh.
That was probably the most unsure no I've heard in a while.
I have a question.
Hmm?
I have a question.
Okay.
In relation to the presentation, how are we going to choose like when we go? Are you just going to assign that to all the groups, like, or we have sign up slots? How do you envision the when we do our presentation on that final day?
Back when I had to do like what y'all are doing, there was always somebody, and that somebody usually was inside of my group that the week before would be like, hey, we're like amped and ready to go. We want to do our presentation first. And then it's like, okay, anybody want to be second or third? And there's always one group that's like, oh, well, wow, first, second, third, and fourth have all already gone. So yeah, we'll go last. I mean, I can do a random select. I can do a pull numbers up between 1 and 5 out of the hat and give you an order. Y'all can take a couple of seconds looking at each other through little windows or on an email, say, anybody want to go first? And then just tell me what order y'all are going to go in. Or I can say, gee, it really makes no bearing that I have y'all listed as team 1, team 2, team 3, team 4, team 5, but we can go like that and that'll work. Which probably has you no better off now than you were before. But at the beginning of I'll tell you what, at the beginning of the next class, I will have the team layout in front of me. And I will ask for volunteers. So if you want to go from there, where the 3 of y'all say we really don't care, or please let me go first, or please let me go second. my viewpoint as a presenter is I like to go first and get it out of the way. If I feel that I have the do all end all presentation, I am going to toss a coin on it. Then I don't want to be second, third, or fourth. I either want to be first and make the other four groups sweat it, or I want to be last because I hope and pray that my feeling that I'm going to blow everybody else's presentation out the water is real. Because last is what I call the lasting impression. Because you're the last one everybody's going to see, including me. So you may feel free to, at a minimum, send an email to the other couple of people in your group so that y'all are at least on the same page with either when you want to go or you don't care when you go. And we can play from, and then we can put an order down next week if that sounds good.
That's fine.
Sounds good. I mean, do y'all care?
That's fine.
Okay. And if you come up with a better mouse prep on how to do that between now and next week, tell me before we do it, and I'll do it y'all's way. I said, this is your class. I'm only here because Jeff wants me to hold y'all accountable to be here.
Yes.
Or something to that effect. And I am going to